G'day, Rick from uncharted. Thanks for joining me. Today I'm going to show you the completed aeroplane that belongs to that flight test experimental airlines wing I made about a couple of weeks back. So just a brief recap. This is the wing that I showed you last time. Magnificent as far as I'm concerned. So the plane's finished. It's got the servos, it's got the electronics, it's got the ESC, it's got the high rates, it's got the low rates. It's got a hatch. Big deal, you say, a hatch. Well, wait till I show you the hatch. Wait till I show you the push rods. There's nothing simpler than what I've just built. Stay tuned. It's more coming up in a moment. This is my new favourite foam build. Pod and boom style design. I decided to be a little bit more creative with the pod section, and that has come from the design of the hatch, which I'll explain a little bit more later on. That's my yellow experimental airlines flight test wing, which I also showed you previously in another video. This is the completed plane. I'm using a carbon arrow shaft for the boom. That's the rear section of the trailing edge where the motor mount sits. I'm using a popsicle stick or an icipol stick as reinforcement so the elastic bands don't press into the foam. I've got a couple of servos at the rear there, one for the rudder, one for the elevator. I've simply secured them in place using double-sided scotch tape, and this is a close-up of those. That's my push rod design. I'm also using the standard plastic control horns, which work very well. So I didn't make mine out of gift card this time. One on each side, as you can see, with the wiring going along the boom section of the plane. Just showing you all perspectives, all angles of this plane as I move along. That's what she looks like from the other side. As we're moving closer to the front section of the main wing, you'll see that I've also got another popsicle stick or icipol stick there for reinforcement, so that the force of the elastic bands while they're holding down the main wing don't press into the foam. And I'm also using dowel as the hold down tie rods. They're fixed in place with gift card reinforcement. Just a quick look at the aileron servo underneath the wing. I'll go into that a little bit more later on also. Another close-up of the rear section. I've got some gift card reinforcement there where the motor mount sits, so it makes it strong and rigid and lightweight. And the dowel that I've used for the rear end section of the wing hold down tie rods. 6x4 propeller, and she's pretty much ready to go. I'll explain a little bit more as we go about the overall weight and the electronics and so on. But that's it. That's the completed plane for now. So this is a close-up of the hatch. As I said, I can turn this around like this. I can put the hatch back in place and give the front of the plane a whole different look. So I've been toing and froing about which way I would do this, and I decided that I'm probably going to keep it as a free standing hatch. Initially, like I explained before, I was going to hinge it in this area here, and I can probably still do that, but I can either have it like that or I can have it like that. Now, what's inside? Just the usual electronics. The ESC, the receiver, the battery. I can move the battery depending on how heavy, how big it is, this way or into the nose, and that's how I secure the correct CG position. Pretty much as simple as that. So I like that versatility, and I think it's important as well. This is a close-up of the wing. I've already shown you the wing. I did a separate video on the wing itself. So this is the finished wing now with the servo and electronics in place. So as you can see, I have cut out a little hole. I have secured the servo in position with some hot glue, and I decided to make my push rods using this bend and shape method. Now I don't know about you guys, but every time I try and do a Z bend, I never get the length of the push rod correct. So I thought if I use this method, I can pretty much adjust what I need to adjust by either squeezing that or stretching it, and that enables me to keep the servos centered without any further adjustments, using only the adjustment in the push rod design to get a straight and level control surface. So I've done that for both. There's that one on this side, and there's that one on that side. Exactly the same process. I cut out for the servo, some hot glue to keep it in place, and a nice little bend and shape push rod design, which is flexible. I think it also acts as a nice little springboard to protect the servo from a direct hit, if you like. There's a bit of spring there. It's better than not having it, but anyway, that's what I decided to do for this build. And this is pretty much a close-up of the hole in the middle of the wing, as you can see. I've got the servo leads coming out of there with a simple Y attachment here, which goes into the body, which connects into the receiver. And that's the wing setup. This is my aluminium motor mount, just made from the usual flat aluminium plate that I've used in the past. That's the motor, or the motor size I am using, with a 6x4 prop. The motor mount is simply held in position with some double-sided scotch tape, and yeah, that works really effectively. So no dramas there with any of that. Now we move along to the total weight of this aircraft. Now without the battery, only with the other electronic components such as the ESC and the receiver, and of course the motor installed, this whole plane pretty much ready to go is 626 grams. So I've pretty much achieved what I wanted to do weight wise with this, and I'm really happy. Should be a nice floater. Now here is the battery, 2200 milliamp 3S. I'm just going to place it on top for the sake of this exercise to show you the additional weight ready to fly. And there we have it, 813 grams. So that's the extra weight of the battery causing all that. So pretty good outcome overall considering its size. It is a 1200 millimeter wingspan after all, with a 10-inch chord. That's my flight test wing, of course, the Experimental Airlines flight test wing. So it's a pretty good outcome, and I'm really looking forward to seeing this plane fly. Moving along to the back of the plane, I think I showed you a little bit of this earlier on, but I'm just showing you here once again the servos that I've used for the rudder and the elevator, and to show off the push rod design, which is a bend and shape technique that I've decided to use from now on. Takes care of any length issues that I don't achieve by using the Z bend, which I never gets right. I never seem to get right when I cut it. So yeah. So all the electronics are inside here, the receiver. I use the battery pack here to decide where my CG will be, so I can change the size of the battery and shift it forward into the nose more if it's a lighter battery, or shift it further back if it's a slightly heavier battery, and that's how I can maintain my CG. And I'll just show you the CG because it's pretty good the way it is at the moment. Where are we? That's the CG. I think you can get a reasonable picture of what it looks like. So it's properly balanced, and I can improve it again and again anytime I want, simply by shifting the battery. So what I'm going to do now is simply take off the elastic bands, and I'm going to show you how not only how the wing is attached, but where the aileron leads go into the top of the body. So that's it basically. I've just put a little hole up here, and that's they're my aileron leads. Just give you a close-up of that. So they're my aileron leads. Got some extension leads there. I've cut out a hole on the top of the fuselage for easy access. Oh, by the way, I've simply used some aluminium plate here to create this motor mount. I bent it up 90 degrees, and I've got some double-sided foam tape over here just to hold it in place. It's more than adequate and does the job just like I've used in other builds. And that's it. Now, what I'm going to do is switch everything on so you can see everything working. So I'm simply using a FlySky transmitter. It's got all the usual bells and whistles and features that you need, nothing fancy, but certainly does the job. So I'll switch it on, put my switches in the up position. I will now connect the battery, putting my throttle on safe or on hold. There the ESC beeps, everything's good, and just bring this round. There my ailerons, full rate, rudder, full rate, with some expo. These are my ailerons, sorry, these are my elevators and my rudder. Now I've got the low rates on now. So I've got two modes here. That's the high rates again for the elevator and the rudder, and the high rates for the ailerons, and the low rates for the ailerons. And now if I engage my throttle hold, always play it safe, make sure everything's in order. It's my motor. Working nicely. All good, ready to go. Can't wait to try it out. Stay tuned for the video. I'm looking forward to showing some really good flight videos, and I really hope this bird flies the way I designed it. I'm looking forward to it.